Hi, everyone, good morning to you. It's 8 o'clock on the start of a Monday. I keep doing this. It is Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Just on the air, literally minutes ago, I said, oh, good morning to you. It's 7:56 on a Monday. And then I'm like, no, it's Tuesday. And I just did the same thing as if I weren't thinking about what I'm saying. Good morning. Glad you're with us to start the day, regardless of what day it is. We're here on Second Cup. So much going on in the news over the last couple of days. Number one, we, of course, have the Pope and his passing. Everything okay? We have the Pope and his passing that we wanted to, of course, talk about. And, 88 years old, he lived a good life, a very faithful life. And then, on top of that, we've got the issue here in Buffalo and in Western New York when it comes to the sex scandal that's rocked the diocese here in Buffalo. But now, today, we could see a $150 million payout for hundreds and hundreds of victims who have filed claims against the diocese. And, this isn't necessarily coming from the insurance companies, but it's certainly coming from the parishes and the churches that are within the diocese. So it's kind of an interesting juxtaposition when you take a look at the faithful and humble life that this Pope led with, frankly, zero tolerance for any of the sexual abuse stuff that's happened in the church. And then you take a look at the other side of this and, you see that the church or the diocese itself is having to pay out millions. It's an interesting conversation, I think. So we'll talk about that. Oh, I'm extra loud. How do you like that? Maybe it's because I'm yelling. I'll move the mic. Can I start off with the topic that many of you might be able to relate to? And Johnny, you can jump in here over there too. John's here, by the way. A 20-year college reunion. Excuse me, not college, high school. 20-year high school reunion. Do you go or do you not go?
Absolutely not.
Okay, tell me why.
Do you have good friends from high school?
I mean, I've got a couple left here and there, but they're not going.
If they're not going, there's no way that I would go. I mean, on the one hand, you can be like, I had my glow up, I'm Ed Dranch. But other than that, there's no way. There's no way that I would go.
I don't think I'm going.
I think that's the right call. I really do think that's the right call.
Gosh, I'm torn, honestly. Jeanette says, we just had mine. I did not go. I was on the fence. It was Thanksgiving weekend last year. Mark never had one. I don't know. Here's why I'm torn. Because on one hand, I'm like, wow, I would really love to see everyone. Like, I was editor of my yearbook, president of the class, and I was like, okay, like, I had a lot of friends in high school, and I really loved high school, but I just don't care. Is that wrong? I just don't care. Lauren, I don't go to any of mine. I have one friend that I talk to. Everyone else I see on social media. Megan, nope. Felicia, haven't been to any of mine. Anita says go. Okay, this is the 20-year reunion. Joe says, missed our 10-year because of COVID. I would consider it. So there are like two people who are going that I would want to see. But, I was even talking to my mom about this, and she says, if they're going and, you want to see them but haven't seen them in the last 20 years that often, like, what's the point of going? I said, okay, that's actually kind of a good point. And she's even weighing in here. You're not going. So funny. Lori says, you should go. Life is too short. I've gone to all of mine. We have a 50-year next year. Peter says, go to the reunion, show off your husband and the wedding ring. Okay, well, so like, I would never subject him to that. Like, people who signed up to say yes, they're going are bringing their significant other. Would you ever do that? Would you bring your husband or your wife to a reunion like that? I don't know. I would feel so uncomfortable.
Besides, Russ won out on that deal, so.
Oh, that he's not going?
No. Like he'd be showing you off at your own, at your own high school reunion.
Here's little Ed.
Let's call a spade a spade. The only reason why you would go is if you want to be like the big man on campus. Look at me. I'm Ed Dranch.
No.
I've done all these great things. What are you doing? And then someone will be like, I'm working at the library or something. That's a great job. Don't get me wrong. But, that's the only reason why you would go.
I am curious. I mean, like, yeah, I think Anita said, you're an investigative reporter. You're not curious. Anita. I am curious. Like, I want to know, because it's so funny. And I've said this before. Like, I love how, like, the studs in high school are just so ugly now. Do you know what I mean? Did that ever happen to you? Like, oh, they were so hot and, they could do whatever they want. Now they're just, like, fat and old. And I love it. Oh, my mom went once. Okay. Yes, exactly, Anita. Thank you. Exactly. It's so funny to me. Connie says, I would never bring mine because he'd have nothing in common. Exactly. Jeanette, I think that we want you to go and get the real report. No doubt. Megan, thank you. Exactly. Sarah's cracking up, but you know exactly what I mean, right? This is not just a, great. Yikes. Lauren spilling the tea. Yikes. Peter says yearbooks are enough. It's true. And you know what's so funny is that there are like 250 people in our graduating class. And I have forgotten about a good majority of them. And it's like, oh, I'm seeing names come up on this Facebook group that we're all a part of. Like, whoa, totally forgot about you. Like, whoa, I forgot that this kid and I went to school. Or, wow, haven't heard that name in a long time. It's just so interesting to me. And then going through, the yearbook, you're like, oh, yeah, that person's here, that person's there. Or, okay, so there are 250 people in the class, but only 50 of them have responded. So do I want to go and see 50 people who I really could do without? Probably not. Peter says, I'd bring my significant other if I had one, just to see the jaws drop. Oh, the shy one, Peter. Oh, Connie wants to come with us. Bonnie says, my husband and I graduated together and went to them all but our 50th because we moved to Michigan and couldn't go. Do one of those videos of senior pictures and what they look like now. I know. And there's just so much. There's so much. I just love it. But like, I don't know. Are reunions necessary nowadays, considering we all have Facebook or we all have Instagram? And if you want to connect with me, you can. You know where to find me. I'm not hard to find. Interesting. Lori says we had the same thing. The ones from out of state come and the locals don't. Marguerite says if you had a huge class, it might be different, but we were only 120, just had her 50th, and the out-of-towners are the first to come. Right. And, here's the other thing. Like, none of my family, except for my aunt and uncle, really live in town where we grew up. So do I want to go and stay in a hotel where I grew up? No. Like, that's just weird. I don't want to do that. Anita says reunions are a blast from the past. I know. But Noreen, everyone looks so old. It's been 54 years. I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, even 20 years is a long time. And 20 to me is like, okay, we're still kids. Some of these people have like 3 or 4 kids. I have a dog. That's good enough for me. Mary says, so many people from my class have passed away. Oh, that's terrible. Enjoy it. Next year is 40 years for my class. My class had over 400. Katie says, I went on to an all-girls Catholic school, and when we have a reunion, we get a lot of people. I'm sure. I think Katie is the same way. Katie gets a lot of people going to her reunions. I got to see who has become a different person. Oh, wow. Okay. I would be wanting to know. Yikes. Howard. Anita, I'm coming to my 50-year anniversary reunion. Connie, we had almost 400 graduate, but lots have passed as well. Yeah, and that's kind of sad. Like, one of my friends had just passed away. I think I told you this a couple of weeks ago. But she was, 2 or 3 years older than I was. Well, 4 really. She was a senior when I was a freshman. I don't know, like, you keep in touch with the people you want to keep in touch with, and for the people, maybe it's about building connection now. I don't know, now that we're older. I don't know. Mark, exactly. Sarah, I graduated with 55 people I keep in touch with who I want to and wouldn't go back for a reunion. Yeah, okay, understood. Yeah, okay, yesterday, Taylor Epps' birthday. And gosh, let's talk about that. What didn't happen yesterday? We had the Pope passing away, and now we're learning some new information about the Pope. First of all, happy birthday, Taylor. Second of all, let's talk about this. The Pope died on her birthday, okay? And now on Saturday, we are learning the Pope is expected to be laid to rest. That's my birthday, Saturday. So we're like bookending. It's kind of crazy, and you've got these milestones on days that are supposed to be special for you personally. I guess it's a little selfish, but at the same time, it's like that's something that you don't really want to consider.
I mean, it's like what the priest said yesterday all morning. God and the Pope love Aaron Minkowski's weather.
Right.
God and the Pope love Ed and Taylor to be a part of your special days.
Yes.
That's what that is.
Is that it? So funny. So the Pope, 88 years old, lived a good life. He was a man of the people. What do you think? I mean, what would you like to see in a brand new Pope? This guy, Francis, the Pope, Pontiff, was a man of the people. He served and really cared for those who were underserved. And now, in his final days, called for peace among all. So, even in his plans for burial, he doesn't want to be buried with other popes. That to me was really interesting. Shonda says a younger one. That's the possibility. This guy is 88 years old. He started in 12 years ago. So what was he? 72, 73. When you consider the age of the people who were elected. Oh, and somebody was asking if there's a requirement for age to be the Pope. The answer is no. I was Googling and researching this morning after somebody asked. I think it was Danielle this morning on our 515 conversation who asked about requirements to be the Pope. There really is no age requirement. It just has to be somebody who's baptized within the church, which also seemed interesting. So these are the first pictures that we're getting this morning of the Pope lying in state. And public viewing will start tomorrow, and then he will be laid to rest on Saturday. Also, in what is kind of an age-old tradition, they're cordoning off the Pope's residence. So, to me, this is fascinating as an observer. Like, obviously, I'm not Jewish. I'm not Catholic. I'm Jewish. So, to me, it's kind of like, there is such a holy tradition about this. Like, they're putting his seal on the ribbon. There's so much significance and symbolism here. Why red? I know that there is something to it, but let me Google this. Why red? Why red when the Pope dies? Okay, so according to the use of red clothing during a Pope's funeral is a long-standing tradition stemming from ancient Byzantine customs. Red is traditionally associated with mourning and martyrdom in some traditions. So where is this actually coming from? Okay, the CBC here is reporting why some things are done the way they are. But I want to... The bells will toll, 9-day mourning period. Let me see if I can find why red. Red. Control F is a wonderful thing. Nope. Okay. Traditionally, bells will toll in St. Peter's Square to mark a Pope's death. The Vatican also seals the papal apartments and papers, typically with red ribbons, and ensures the Pope's fisherman's ring and the lead seal under which papal documents are dispatched are broken so they cannot be used anywhere else. Oh, and this is what the priest was mentioning yesterday. Historically, they would smash the ring to destroy it that the Pope wears. Okay, but why red? We're picking up like RED in the syntax. Oh, Okay, the new pope changes into his white cassock, and one by the red-clad cardinals approach to swear their obedience. But what does the red mean? I guess there's no... interesting. Okay, well, regardless, that's you kind of get an idea. The ring smashing is interesting. I know! Donna says he was so accepting of all. As a Protestant, Barbara says, I find it fascinating as well. I was having this conversation with my parents yesterday on the phone. Because as I mentioned, again, we're Jewish, so it's kind of like, for us, it has little significance, but it is still, a figurehead that you respect the position, knowing that he really serves all of, millions and millions of faithful. But just how interesting it was, and wondered, do Protestants have any feelings about this? So I'm glad that you were able to weigh in here and explain. Go ahead.
Just a heads up, I was looking on Google from the Washington Post. The color red is from the ancient Byzantine, as you mentioned, and the funeral traditions that time period had. And the color red is to symbolize color of mourning.
Okay, interesting.
So I guess that's why they're wearing red.
So, it's so funny. We think of black as mourning, right? Like when you're wearing black, you feel like you're going to a funeral or something, but who knows? Maybe you wear red next time. You're looking live at the Vatican this morning. This is at St. Peter's Square. And, ordinarily there are people mulling around. Obviously, everyone wants to go to the Sistine Chapel and take a look inside the Vatican, because how often do you get to do that? But now, today, in day 2 of this 9-day mourning period, you kind of think that maybe these people are there for a different reason, perhaps to not only see the Vatican, but to experience and find that spiritual cleansing, to almost mourn the loss of Pope Francis. It's really interesting. Anita says, I wear black always. Lauren says, I found that the Pope Francis's apartment seal with a red ribbon and wax after his death, and Vatican ritual as part of the ritual declaring a sede vacante or a vacant. See the period between the death of one pope and the election of another. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, we went to St. Peter's Square right before the pandemic and the Vatican, and you walk through. It's amazing. It's so beautiful. And yeah, you go to the gift shop afterward, and perhaps that's like the touristy thing to do. But when you walk through the hallways and you see these beautiful tapestries that are hanging up on the side of the hallways, and you understand the story between and the links between the Pope and the community and the Catholic faithful, and why the first Pope was elected, it's really, certainly not spiritual for me, but like you feel a certain way, right? Like you just feel, wow, like this is bigger than just me. This is bigger than just a community. This is millions of people. And this guy has the responsibility of bearing all of their weight. Megan, I want the next pope to continue to be accepting of all. From someone who was raised Catholic, as an adult, I didn't continue to practice because in years past, they didn't seem accepting of all. Also, can we get some females in a priest position? I think they need to understand our world has changed, and they should reflect on that and why they preach and their messages. So interesting. So, tradition has been that there have been men in these roles, and certainly no women have served as a pontiff. But should there be a female pontiff? Lauren says, yeah, and that the Pope is in the same building. It's so cool. Yeah, it's really cool. So Anita, gray smoke versus white smoke. I can't remember. So we were just having this conversation in the newsroom, and which is which. So, the Cardinals all vote for a new Pope. And they burn their ballots in the Sistine Chapel, and then that smoke comes out of the chimney. So in the conclave, black smoke means the cardinals have not yet reached a decision on a new pope. White smoke signals a new pope has been elected. And I think that's kind of also symbolic. When you consider the color white, right, Danielle, white smoke appointed, it's like purity. It's a new start. It's a new beginning. It's refreshing. It's alive. We often think of like white as simplicity and pure. In certain contexts, it's like Easter. I mean, right? I mean, how many of you were in church and you see the white cloth draped over the cross, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm Jewish, so that's what I took away from it. It's like it's a new day, when Christ rose from the tomb and was resurrected. It was like a brand new day, right? And like, isn't that what white kind of symbolizes sometimes? I don't know. That's my thought, kind of as an introspective. Karen says there are a lot more cardinals this time. Interesting. Marguerite says there will never be a female pope because the Catholic Church is way too rigid and old-fashioned. So should that change? And, it was interesting, again, when you consider that juxtaposition of what we have in front of us in the Vatican, but then also here in Buffalo. When you consider that juxtaposition, that we are on the precipice of electing a new pope, and someone who had a zero tolerance for the sex abuse within the church has just died, you would hope that continues on with the new pope. Yet, here we are in Buffalo, and the diocese is now going to have to pay $150 million to about 800 or so victims after claims were filed about sex abuse. So there is scandal that has rocked this diocese, and certainly the church as a whole, but, we're facing our own battles here. And, when you consider 800 people are going to be paid out in this settlement, that is a lot of people who've been affected by all of this. So would a woman be able to come in and say, look, from experience, this is how things should be done? Katie, I'm sure if Katie were here, she would be able to say something along those lines. And I don't want to speak for her, but she would often, and I think she would agree with me here, a woman knows differently than a man is what she would say, right? Do we agree? I don't know. That's what she would say, though. So maybe a woman might be a little bit different, might have a different perspective. Julie says, I was born Roman Catholic. My mother converted to Judaism. Love that. We celebrated Shabbat every Friday for a few decades. I studied the Bible with some wonderful people who were Jehovah's Witnesses. So I'm just a little confused. I understand that. Anita says, I think a woman would take some of those things off the table. Interesting, Anita. When I went to church with Russell on Easter Sunday. And we just sat in the back, and it was interesting to listen to the way the pastor spoke about Easter and, the Bible and whatever. And to me, it was like, okay, well, these are drawing parallels to Judaism also. So it was super fascinating to me just to listen and be an observer. But, it was like, okay, no, that's not really what happened, Father. But maybe it is in the New Testament versus the Old Testament. Connie says, speaking of Katie, when is she coming back? She should be back, I think, in a couple of months. Summer is what she was aiming for, so time will tell. Howard, the abuse does not happen in just the Catholic Church. It happens everywhere. That is too bad, and why a lot of people don't attend religious venues. Yeah, it's something that has certainly detracted from faith. And if these payouts are paid evenly, that's about $158,000 each person. Anita says, just my opinion, a church is just a building, but spirituality is in the heart. Huh. Do you think that's true? I mean, like, why do we think it's just a building? That's like saying a home is just a building and home is where the heart is. I don't know. I loved my house, and I, miss my house, and I miss being around the people, and maybe that's kind of what it is, the social community, the social aspect of having something that you know and can rely on. Like, it's steadfast. It doesn't really change. So what do we think? Do we think that a church is just a building? Kathy, is that just 800 in the Buffalo Diocese? Yes. And then more could feasibly be paid out as well, because This is just with the diocese and within the churches and parishes, but then the insurance companies might wind up paying a little bit more. And, we'll find out more information about what exactly is being doled out here and perhaps to whom once we go through this hearing in U.S. bankruptcy court that happens at, I believe, 10 o'clock this morning. Peter says, Anita, amen to that. Anita goes back to say a home is just a building. It's love that you bring that matters. Megan agrees, Anita. Rachel says, my mom taught me that you don't need a church to pray or be close and talk to God. But then Mark says, now the church is always asking for money. It's not like it used to be. What did it used to be like? Because, when at least to me, you consider this, is it a business? Is a church a business? Is it our responsibility to keep the church financially afloat or the temple financially afloat? I don't know. I mean, I kind of think it's interesting to me as an observer. Again, I don't necessarily, to me, it was interesting that they go around and ask for donations in mass. Do you feel guilty if you don't contribute? I don't know. Do you not? What happens if you don't contribute? I don't know. I don't know. Julie says some churches have great acoustics for music. I know. OLV is beautiful. St. Louis is gorgeous. Kathy says the Roman Catholic Church was great at, excuse me. The Roman Catholic Church was at one point the wealthiest entity in the world for centuries it was. I know. And even when you walk through the basilica, you can tell how wealthy it is. You go through and you're like, wow, there's marble everywhere. And they don't build this like they used to, or they don't build them like this anymore. And they don't. Some of these churches that are even, that don't even have a parish anymore are gorgeous. And the things, they're ornate inside, the architecture, the materials that are used for building, they're beautiful. Now Rachel says the Catholic Church wants money and they'll tell you how much to give. Danielle says the church keeps track if you give money, so it's about the money. Howard says you're supposed to feel guilty if you don't put money in the collection plate. That's how you are made to feel. Interesting. Peter says if you can't provide financially to the church, can provide other ways, such as serving. Rachel, if you don't give, they make you feel guilty. Is this true? Is this like Jewish guilt? But it's like Catholic guilt? Is this a thing? Jewish guilt is real. Like your mom when you don't call her, at least my mom, oh, I have a son still? I didn't know I had a son anymore. Okay, I'm sorry, I forgot to call you. Is that like Catholic guilt? Mark says the former St. Gerard's was so beautiful. Anita, nothing is like it used to be. The new normal is an ever-changing thing.
I haven't been to church in far longer than I would like to admit, but I feel like it's more like if you're going to a museum and it's, you can get in for free, but if you give us $10, it'll go to Toys for Tots. And it's not like a guilt. It's not like you have to, but then if you don't, you kind of feel badly about it.
It's like going to the grocery store and they're like, oh, do you want to contribute to the United Way? And you say, no, thank you. And then move on about your day.
Yeah. Similar. I almost said exactly. I'll go with similar.
Right? So funny. Actually, you remember the picture I showed you about those guys in Vegas lifting me up, the guys with no shirt?
How could I forget that?
I mean, it's burned in your mind, right? Seared, more like it. They said to Russ, hey, if you give me $100, it'll make our day. Russ goes, how about 40? Right? I know. Peter says Catholic guilt is real, just saying. Sarah says Catholic guilt runs deep. And Marguerite says, call your mom out. I do, every day. She fills the air, helps me fill the air on my car ride home, and there's nothing like talking to your mom. I was actually thinking about that too, how one day they're not going to be there and how you should call more often. Period at the end of the sentence. All right, everyone, have a great day. Glad you're with us on this Tuesday. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Enjoy.